Hey viewers, today I'm going to show you how to protect worksheets using VBA. Now, why would you want to do this when you can just simply click on Review up the top and then Protect Sheet? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Let's say you unprotect the sheet, make any necessary changes, and then you distribute it to the users, but you forgot to protect it again. Well, it might not be a big issue, but if it is, you can add some code that ensures it will reprotect the worksheets. Now, the other reason is if you have some macros that will be modifying worksheets which are protected. In that case, they're going to fail unless if a particular setting has been enabled. So let's go and take a look at those. Let's go to the VBA editor, Alt F11. Here I've got a protect sheet subroutine. It will protect the specified worksheet with an optional password. Now, the worksheet is the worksheet object, not the name, and I'll show you how to call this in a moment. So the first line will protect the specified worksheet with the password that's been provided in the parameters. And this user interface only equals to true. This is the key to ensuring that your macro can modify protected worksheets. Without this, the macro has to unprotect the sheet, do whatever it has to do, and then reprotect it. This next line of code, enable selection equals Excel no restrictions. This will allow users to select any locked cells and perhaps copy and paste them elsewhere. Now, in some cases, I like to protect worksheets just from accidental changes. In that case, I'll protect them without a password. And so I've got two constants here. One is for a password and one is no password. So I'll be using both just to show you how they work. So how do we ensure that the protection is re-enabled in case you forgot before you distribute it? Well, one way is to add calls to protect sheet at the workbook open event. All right. So what you do is go over to the left here where you see this workbook and double click on it. Now, if you don't have this already visible, you click up the top in this drop down, pick workbook, and then you can select the open event. There's a lot of other events here. We're only going to focus on this one today. Now, I will be putting together another video on event handling, so be on the lookout for that. So in this case, I'm called protect sheet with WS input. Now, this is the code name for my input sheet. Now, if you're not familiar with codename, please check out my other video, how to reference worksheets, as I go into detail about that. It's my preferred method of referencing worksheets. So instead of doing worksheets and then open quotes and then the sheet name, in this case, let's say it's input. Instead of doing that, I would use the code name, which is an alias for the worksheet. And it is independent from the worksheet name that you see here. And so any user can change this name and it won't affect the code. All right, so with that out the way, protect worksheet. The worksheet object, as I said, not the worksheet name. So I'm not passing input because that is the name. I'm passing the worksheet. And comma, and then this one I'm going to protect without a password. Right, so I could have just done this, just left this out, and because it's optional, it will default to no password. Now, with the parameters, so this is my other sheet here. I don't want anyone without permission modifying these grades and so on. All right. So this one, I'm going to pass the actual password constant. Now this here is what's known as the dirty flag. So whenever you change a workbook, Excel will automatically set this flag to true. So whenever you close the workbook, it prompts you to save it. We are changing the workbook in a way, but if the user opened the workbook and then closed it straight away, it will prompt them to save without this added here. I will save this. So what's going to happen when the workbook opens, it's going to protect this sheet, and the dirty flag will automatically be enabled. All right, so when I open and then close the workbook, it's going to ask me to save it. Okay, so I have closed the workbook and reopened it. I haven't made any changes at all. If I hit close, it's going to ask me, do you want to save it? I haven't done anything. So the user might be sitting there thinking, oh, what have I changed? All right, so let's go back to the macro, to this workbook, and this workbook dot saved equals true. So from now on, it's not going to ask me to save unless if I actually do go and make some changes. Now let me unprotect it. Put in the password 123. Okay. So here you go. I can make changes. All right. I can make this into C, whatever I wanted. All right. So let's say I've made my changes. I forget to protect it. Let's go to inputs. Let's unprotect this one. So assume I've made changes. I forget to protect it. And now I'm going to save the workbook. Now I'm going to exit and open the workbook again. All right, I've reopened the workbook and there we go, it's protected. We'll go back to this one and it's protected. Double click, protected. All right, so that's one way you can do it. Now these cells, these are my input cells that I've highlighted in yellow. And these are not locked, so the user can change these. So if you don't know how to do that, I'll quickly go through it. Just unprotect the sheet first. This one doesn't have a password. You select all the cells that you want to be editable, and then right click, format cells, okay, and then click protection and make sure that locked is not ticked, and then click OK. All right. And now, once you protect it, these are still editable, but these aren't. Now, if you do have something like a checkbox, you can use that in formulas. So for example, in this one here, if I tick this, add an extra 5%. Now, to do that, you need to link a cell in here. Right. So let's zoom in. So format the control. You come to the control tab and cell link, all right? And I've got this in D1, all right? And here you can see false. At the moment, it's not ticked. If I tick it, it goes to true. And as you can see, it's applied the formula. Now, what I'm trying to show you here is if you ever do protect your sheet, whether via Excel or via VBA, in order for this to work, you need to make sure that this cell is not locked as well. All right. So currently mine is locked and I'll show you what happens. Let me protect the sheet. If I try to do that, I'll get an error. So you need to ensure, if you ever see that, unprotect this and format, come to locked, untick it. And then now that you protect it, you can update this cell with the checkbox value. Now, the problem with that is that this is now editable. So the best thing to do is hide it. You have to unprotect, hide the row, or if you have a number of checkboxes, you could also put the value, the link cell in a column, perhaps, or even out here, and then hide that column. Right? Again, you need to do that while the sheet is unprotected. All right. Now let's have a look at that user interface only. So I've got two macros here. This one here is going to copy these and paste them over here. All right. And then this one will clear the marks. So let me copy. It works. All right. the sheet is protected. As you can see up here, it's saying unprotect, which means it's currently protected. I can't edit these, right? So the copy worked. The clear also works. It's cleared these. They were editable, so it doesn't matter. It should be able to do that anyway. These are formulas, which if this is blank, they will all be blank. I'm going to remove this here. All right, and save the workbook, and I'll come back in, and then we'll see what happens when this setting is not enabled. Okay, so I'm back in here, and let's take a look. Let's try do a copy. This time I get an error. All right, it says the cell or chart you're trying to change are on a protected sheet. So that's without user interface only equals a true. The clear works because these are editable, so the user interface only doesn't matter. Now let me copy and paste these back. Remember that enable selections, that lets me select these even though they're locked, and I can paste them into these editable cells. Let me just restore this setting. Now, something to keep in mind, if you are going to use passwords, you want to hide your code so that no one can get into it and find the password. And the way you do that is by coming over to your project on the left, over here, and right-click anywhere and select VBA Project Properties. All right, and then click on Protection, click Lock Project for Viewing, and then enter a password and confirm it, and then OK. Now you need to save this, exit the workbook, and come back for it to take effect. So I'll do that right now. So let me save it, and I'll close and come back. All right, I've reopened the workbook. Let's go to the macro editor. Double click on the project, and it now prompts me for the password. I can enter it in, hit OK, and now I'm back to my code. Right? Now I'm just going to remove that password. So going back to the VBA project properties, click on protection, untick the box, and you can clear these out and OK. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if you don't use the user interface only setting, then you would need to unprotect the sheets first. So I have an unprotect sheet subroutine here. It just takes the target sheet as an object, similar to the protect sheet, and an optional password. Obviously, if you had a password when you protected it, you have to use the same password to unprotect it. So wstarget.unprotect password equals the password. And the way you use it is something like this. All right, we go here, we're going to go unprotect. Now, if you're not familiar with this shortcut, you can hold Control space and it will auto-complete variable names, function names, subroutines, and so on. Right, so it's quite a handy little shortcut, that is Control space. So unprotect WS, I'll do the input. And because this one had no password, I could just leave it as that, or just be more explicit and say no password, whatever your code is. And at the very end, we want to reprotect. Again, Control space, WS input, no password. A couple of more things before I finish up. There are other actions that you can allow users to perform while a worksheet is protected. Now, I'm not going to go through them all because there's quite a few. Just go into the review. When you protect, you can see a whole list of them here. You might allow format cells, even auto filter, and so on. All right, so you can add them to that protect sheet. So if you want to know the actual properties, what you can do is record a macro. So you click on developer. Now, if you don't have that developer menu item, right click anywhere here, customize the ribbon. All right. Let's just zoom in and tick the developer option here and then click OK. All right. So once you've done that, click on developer, click record macro, give it a name if you want, or just leave the default because we're not going to keep it. Click OK, and then review, protect sheet, and pick, let's say, use auto filter and OK. Don't forget, go back to developer and stop recording. Now, if you go back to the VBA editor, there will be a module over here on the side that's been created. Mine's module 1. And you'll see there is the protect function that's been added with the extra parameters. So you can copy those and then come back to the protect sheet method here and add those if you like. All right. Now, if you want them to be flexible, so let's say at our filtering, you want it to allow it for one worksheet but not another, then you can add a parameter here as well for it. So again, I'll just make it optional. Let's call it can filter as Boolean and default it to false. Right? So if we don't specify it, then you can't filter on this worksheet. Change the true to can filter like that. Right? And then whenever you protect the worksheet, you specify whether that can allow filtering or not. Right. And the last thing I want to talk about is password protection in Excel is not going to be that secure. So if you do have some data that's really sensitive, I do really recommend using a file share or cloud location that is restricted. Well, that wraps it up. Hope you found this useful. If you did, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on future videos. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.